Have you ever been scared to step into something new? Joshua was too. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast wilderness. Before you lies a land of promise, yet danger lurks at every turn. This was Joshua's reality. Joshua wasn't a stranger to challenges. He had served as Moses' right-hand man. He had witnessed God's power firsthand, yet the task ahead filled him with trepidation. Moses, the great leader of Israel, was gone. Now Joshua was chosen to lead God's people into the promised land. If you find this story inspiring, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with others. Joshua had big sandals to fill. Moses, his predecessor, was revered as a prophet and liberator. For decades, Joshua had learned from Moses. He had seen God's faithfulness through plagues, miracles, and the parting of the Red Sea. He had witnessed the highs and lows of leading a stubborn and often rebellious people. The journey had been arduous, marked by both victories and setbacks. Joshua knew the weight of expectations that came with leading God's chosen people. The task seemed insurmountable. The Promised Land wasn't a land of empty fields and flowing rivers. It was inhabited by fierce tribes, fortified cities, and giants. The Israelites, though freed from slavery, were still prone to fear and doubt. Leading them required immense courage and unwavering faith. Joshua faced opposition from within and outside the camp. He carried the weight of their hopes and dreams on his shoulders. How could he possibly live up to Moses' legacy? How could he lead God's people to victory? Fear threatened to cripple Joshua. He was stepping into the unknown, leading a nation towards an uncertain future. Doubts swirled in his mind. Was he strong enough? Wise enough? Courageous enough? The task seemed impossible. The wilderness had tested the Israelites' faith for 40 years. Could they overcome the challenges that lay ahead? Joshua needed reassurance, guidance, and a surge of courage to face his fears and lead with confidence. Section 5. A Divine Mandate. This section delves into the profound and timeless message that God imparted to Joshua, a message that continues to resonate through the ages. God, knowing Joshua's heart, spoke directly to him. He saw the potential, the strength, and the courage within Joshua, even when Joshua himself might have had doubts. This divine communication was not just a casual conversation, it was a moment of profound significance, a turning point in Joshua's life and in the history of the Israelites. In Joshua chapter 1 verse 9, we hear these powerful words, "Be strong and courageous." These words were not just meant to uplift Joshua's spirit, they were a divine directive, a command that carried the weight of heaven's authority. It was a call to action, a call to rise above fear and uncertainty. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This assurance was not just for the battles Joshua would face, but for every challenge, every obstacle, and every moment of doubt. It was a promise of God's unwavering presence and support. These weren't just words of encouragement, they were a divine command, a promise, and a source of immeasurable strength. They were a reminder that Joshua's strength did not come from his own abilities, but from the divine power that was with him. This divine mandate was a source of empowerment, a beacon of hope, and a foundation of faith. God reminded Joshua that he wasn't alone. In the solitude of his thoughts, in the quiet moments of reflection, and in the midst of the chaos of leadership, God was there. This divine companionship was a constant, unwavering presence that provided comfort and strength. The same power that had parted the Red Sea and brought water from a rock would be with him. These miraculous events were not just stories of the past, they were testimonies of God's power and faithfulness. They were reminders that the same God who performed these miracles was with Joshua, guiding and empowering him. This promise wasn't just for Joshua, it was for every Israelite and for us today. The message of strength, courage, and divine presence transcends time and space. It is a message that speaks to the heart of every believer, reminding us that we are never alone, that we are always supported by a power greater than ourselves. When God calls us, He equips us. This divine mandate is not just a call to action, it is a promise of provision. God does not call us to tasks without giving us the strength, wisdom, and resources we need to accomplish them. This assurance is a cornerstone of faith, a reminder that with God's call comes His unwavering support and empowerment. Section 6. Strength in Obedience. Joshua's strength wouldn't come from his own abilities but from his obedience to God. In the ancient world where physical might and strategic prowess were often seen as the ultimate sources of power, Joshua's story stands out as a testament to a different kind of strength. It was a strength rooted not in human capability, but in divine guidance and unwavering faith. He needed to trust God's plan even when it seemed impossible. The walls of Jericho were not just physical barriers, they symbolized the insurmountable challenges that life often throws our way. Joshua's journey was filled with moments where the path ahead seemed unclear, and the obstacles appeared too great to overcome. Yet, it was in these very moments of uncertainty that his faith was tested and strengthened. God's command wasn't just to be strong and courageous, it was to meditate on His word day and night. This meditation wasn't a passive act but an active engagement with the divine wisdom that would guide Joshua's every decision. By immersing himself in the scriptures, Joshua was not only seeking knowledge but also aligning his heart and mind with God's will. In obedience, Joshua would find clarity, wisdom, and courage. Each moment of reflection and prayer was a step towards understanding the greater purpose that God had for him. It was through this continuous dialogue with the divine that Joshua gained the insight needed to lead his people with conviction and grace. Every step of faith, every act of obedience would draw Joshua closer to God and unleash His power in his life. Crossing the Jordan River was more than a physical journey, it was a spiritual passage that marked the beginning of a new chapter for Joshua and the Israelites. Each act of obedience was a testament to his unwavering trust in God's promises. Joshua's story teaches us that true strength isn't found in our own abilities but in our dependence on God. His victories were not just personal triumphs but reflections of a life lived in harmony with divine will. Joshua's legacy is a powerful reminder that when we surrender our own desires and trust in a higher power, we unlock a strength that transcends human limitations. It is in this surrender that we find true victory and fulfillment. Section 7. Courage in action. Courage wasn't the absence of fear for Joshua but the willingness to act despite it. He had to confront his doubts and lead with boldness. The Israelites would face battles, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty. Joshua's courage would inspire them to keep moving forward, and move forward they did. Under Joshua's leadership, they crossed the Jordan River, conquered Jericho, and claimed victory after victory. Joshua's courage wasn't a one-time event, it was a daily choice to trust God and lead with boldness. Section 8. A legacy of faith. Joshua's life and leadership stand as a testament to the power of faith and obedience. From the moment he took over the mantle of leadership from Moses, Joshua demonstrated unwavering trust in God's promises. His journey was not just a physical one, leading the Israelites into the Promised Land, but also a spiritual odyssey that showcased the profound impact of faith. He is remembered as a faithful servant who led God's people into their inheritance. Joshua's courage was evident when he and Caleb were the only two spies who believed that the Israelites could conquer the land of Canaan, despite the formidable obstacles. His faith was not just in words, but in action, as he led the people across the Jordan River and into battles that seemed insurmountable. His story reminds us that God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. Joshua's humility and reliance on divine guidance were key to his success. He constantly sought God's direction, whether it was in the strategy to bring down the walls of Jericho or in the distribution of the land among the tribes of Israel. His leadership was marked by a deep sense of responsibility and a commitment to follow God's commands. When we step out in faith, He will be with us every step of the way. Joshua's journey through the desert and into the Promised Land is a powerful reminder that faith is a journey, not a destination. It involves trusting in God's plan, even when the path is difficult and the future uncertain. Joshua's story encourages us to take bold steps of faith, knowing that we are never alone. Joshua's legacy inspires us to face our own giants, knowing that with God's help, we too can overcome any obstacle. Whether it's personal challenges, fears, or external adversities, Joshua's life teaches us that no obstacle is too great when we have faith. His victories were not just military triumphs but spiritual ones, demonstrating the power of faith in action. Like Joshua, we can live lives of courage, strength, and faith, leaving a legacy that points others to the faithfulness of God. His story is a timeless reminder that true leadership is rooted in faith and obedience. As we reflect on Joshua's legacy, we are inspired to lead with integrity, to trust in God's promises, and to leave a lasting impact on those who follow in our footsteps. Joshua's life is a beacon of hope, showing us that with faith, we can achieve the extraordinary and leave a legacy that endures through the ages. Section 9. Your time to lead. Today we face our own promised lands, filled with both promise and challenges. We may feel inadequate, afraid, and unsure of ourselves, but just like Joshua, we have a God who calls us to be strong and courageous. He promises to be with us, guiding our steps and empowering us to succeed. So, step out in faith, embrace the unknown, Lead with courage, your promised land awaits. Remember, the same God who was with Joshua is with you. Be strong and courageous, stay blessed and let your journey be filled with strength and courage.